impacts the world in different ways. And so whatever their journey is in life, they will take that leadership.
The fact that certain mentors kept me alive and where I'm standing today, so I need to be that mentor for another kid.
I do this for the people that I love, and I will not stop until I show the world that I love them.
Why is it important to be a leader within my community? I think it's important to be a leader because we're really in unprecedented times right now, and the world runs on leaders and people who take charge, and people who can set an example for others who may not have the same resources that they do. And so I just think that people need someone to look up to, whether that is someone who's vocal or someone who's just doing the right thing. And so I think leaders always have been needed, and they always will be needed. I just hope to be able to influence people's lives for the better, and whether that be me giving them an idea that turns into something else, or me just helping them through a tough time in their life. You know, I want to be there for my family and friends, and the way I look at it is it's showing love to everybody, but as a verb, you know, and regardless of who they are, you know, regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of their beliefs. We are bright, we are strong, and we are ready to make a big difference in this world, a big positive difference in this world. We have wonderful brains, and we have wonderful support systems and people to help us, and we have just as much potential as any other person would, regardless of skin color.
To be a leader in your community is everything. It affects change in where you're from, where you live, what you stand by, where your roots are. I think you can't affect change unless you begin changing things, and to change things, I became a leader in my community. My goal is to put in the faces of all of our beautiful young children that I work with on the day-to-day that you can be whoever you want to be, and you can give back to whatever communities you want to. In addition to that, I want my youth to see a strong, smart, competent gay Black man in front of them working hard, just like their parents, just like their families, just like their teachers. I want to be a role model for them. I think so often we're written off so fast. I was that little boy that got in so much trouble, suspended, expelled, kicked out of school, put in foster homes, group homes, detention centers. That was me. And so quickly, people around us were so fast to write me off. And I see that happening to our youth. And so what I want you to know is these kids can make a change in this world. Young Black and brown kids have this charisma about them, this swagger that no one can touch, this resiliency that they can just fly off with. That's us.
The impact I hope to make as an emerging leader is to show people how to be themselves. Don't really care what other people think about you. Just do your best in whatever you're doing in life, and follow your dreams, understand yourself to be able to follow those dreams and make an impact wherever you go, just whatever it is. What has inspired me to be active in my community is losing a lot of friends to the streets. A lot of close people that I grew up with have passed away now, and from gun violence. So I really wanted to change that and show people that they can be different than their family members and be different than their peers and be different than what they grew up around or look up to, because life is more than just ending up in a grave. I mean, yeah, everybody has so much potential, so I want everybody to be able to bring that potential out. Like my best friends, like I seen them 5 minutes before they were killed, so it's just like I could have been that person, and I had to deal with all of the aftermath. So I don't want to live that way, and I know that I have more to bring to the table than just being a statistic.
Well, I think that there's the old saying of, I think people say, it was Gandhi, I don't know, I've heard debates on that, but there's the idea that you have to be the change you want to see in the world, in your community. And I think that it's important to be a leader in your community, just because if you don't do it, it might not get done. And it's not worth that risk of waiting for someone else to take charge and do that. And so I think that just being a leader, stepping up, doing that for your community is very important. So right now I'm working with PAVE, and we're working to end the cycle of relationship violence. But I think beyond that, I am planning to study finance in college, and I want to use that to become a VC, a venture capitalist, and use that platform to invest in small businesses started by Black and brown people, and try to give opportunities to people that lack that opportunity in this country. Thinking with other people's priorities in mind, and I think that comes down to and for me at least, that's who's the most disadvantaged and who needs help the most, because this country is very inequitable, and so I think that when I think of how I want to take a stand on something, right, and in the future how I want to vote on things, I don't think about it from my perspective. I think about it from the people who need help more than I do. I've noticed that people treat me slightly differently. It's not always like a negative thing, but it's a different thing. And whether this be like teachers trying to help me out by sitting in the front of the class, or not pushing me and challenging me as much, or whether it be like blatant racist actions, I'm treated differently. And I think that with what I said with the teachers trying to help me, people expect us to not be as sophisticated, not be as capable, not be as I guess human in a way. And I think that it's just so wrong, and it's hurtful, and it's insulting. And I've really been able to use that to drive myself. I think that there's other things that are bigger, but I've always kind of had a little chip on my shoulder because of that. And I see around me all these other people of color that are treated in similar ways because of their skin tone, essentially. And I think that is just so terrible. And I think that people should see that we are totally capable of everything anybody else is doing. And it seems tired to say that now, because that's the thing we've been saying forever, right?
Not many kids have a role model or somebody to look up to, so I think it's just good to be there for them kids. I hope that people do inspire and do look up to me and who I am, and want to succeed and be in the same position that I am. We're overlooked a lot, and I mean, people just need to take a step in our shoes and see what it's like. And I enjoy it. I don't pay no mind to it. I love how it is. Well, I was very quiet about the person I used to be when I was younger. I didn't feel like I fit in perfectly. But now I feel like I grew up with this and it's gonna be on me forever. So I have to start doing something about it.
I think it's important to be a leader in our community because really if there are no leaders, no one to take action or take care of the issues or problems our community faces. As an emerging leader, I hope to make impact where all people of different backgrounds and different identities get to have equal access to pretty much everything. I think the motivation that motivated me in my community was seeing other people being affected by hunger or homelessness or addiction, just any sort of discrimination. I'd like just to mention that everyone has the power to change the world, and people just like me that you've never heard before, like you're hearing right now, can inspire others to make a change for the better and for everyone else.
It's important to be a leader in your community because, as Black, Indigenous people of color, we are all we have. Our people are rooted, our indigeneity and our history and our culture is rooted in community. So it's important to lead in those communities because we are a part of them. They're a part of our identity, and our identity is rooted in that leadership. The impact that I hope to make, especially on my community, is Indigenous sovereignty. Doing something to help achieve that sovereignty for us as Indigenous nations, as First Nations people. That for boys and young men of color, the only body that should be threatened by boys and young men of color is systemic racism, the systems of oppression. That is who should feel the heat from young men and boys of color, is those systems of oppression. When majority of folks see young men and boys of color, they feel a little bit nervous as a threat to their physical well-being or their property, the well-being of their property. But the real threat that we pose is to the systems that oppress us. The thing that motivates me most is to be active in my community is my community. It's more than just neighbors and family friends. That's all. That's my people that I choose to fight for every day. So the community is what motivates me to get out there and fight and progress. The issues, the fight against the opposition and the issues that face us as Black, Indigenous people of color. Be ready because we're coming.
Somebody has to start somewhere, and if I don't take action and take charge, then nothing's going to get done, and we're not going to be able to create this diversity and safe space that we do have and need. I'm hoping, especially since I do go to Denver School of the Arts, to show Black men of color that we are more than just like athletes, and we are more than just what people make us out to be, that you could be a dancer, you could be a singer, you could be an artist, and that it's okay to do these things and to have this lifestyle. I want people to know that young men of color and boys have feelings more than just, we're not just these soulless people who people make us out to be, and we can be more than just the status quo and what people think we are. My mom for sure motivates me to be active in my community because of what she does with the community and how she uses her voice to motivate and to create change, and also seeing other people who aren't as fortunate as me, who aren't as confident as me, to call out change and to create change motivate me the most.
I feel like most of the time there are definitely, I guess, leaders or influencers in multiple communities. And sometimes these leaders are not here to guide people. They're more here to get the clout and get the fame and just have people follow them because it's cool, instead of actually trying to make an influence in their community and try to better the people who are around them, instead of trying to get a follow or a like or a retweet. So I feel like it's important to be a leader in your community because you don't know who's gonna come after you, you don't know who's listening, and you don't know who you impacted in their whose lives that you impact in the future. So it's always good to be a leader for the people instead of being a leader for yourself. Give this world a better shot at being better in the future. And if it's with my words, if it's with my actions, whatever gotta take to make this world, my community, Denver, Colorado, a better place. I feel like our skin color, our pigment is a mask that kind of hides our true identities, hides who we are. And it's all these stereotypes in the world that kind of make people think, oh, you're black, you do this. Oh, you're black, you dress this way. Your religion is this. And really, our personality comes from within. I'm gonna say MLK said it best. Don't judge by the skin of your color, but by the content of your character. And I feel like I follow that very dearly because I feel like that's one of the main things that's overlooked when you go out in public, even in your own home. You're prejudged, you're put into pressures because of what you look like instead of what your personality is. Definitely God, definitely my parents, my mom and my dad, Eric and Leah Goss. They give me, and my grandmother, definitely Shelly Anderson, they give me power, they give me strength, they give me motivation, they give me words of affirmation.
Oh, I mean, leaders are influencers first and foremost, and I think the only way to make real revolution, make real change is to be able to influence somebody's mind, most importantly, influence somebody's heart. So if I'm gonna be a leader in my community and I'm a person who believes that certain values and certain characteristics are gonna make my community stand for the right things and still be here for longevity, then I've gotta be an influencer, and that's essential. So we gotta have influencers in our community pushing people to the right direction, because that's what a leader is. I hope to build more leaders first and foremost. I know that one day, my day's gonna come and one day I may step out of the light, but I'm trying to build as many leaders as possible because my idea only works for a certain group of people, but I know other people's ideas strengthen and allow for other people to embrace and find their journey. So my number one goal is to keep multiplying and growing. That representation matters, that we have to see more people who look like us. We have those people in our lives that were showcasing us positivity and the right things. We'll be as successful just as our counterparts. So when it comes to African Americans and people of color in general, especially young boys, we need representation in order for us to be successful. So think of us in that light before thinking of us as just negative individuals. From the people who have inspired me, I lost some friends to gang violence, and when I was in college, and when I thought about it, it was mentors that helped guide me and change me and help me move in the right direction. So the same thing needs to happen with me. Like, I need to get out there and inspire kids and give them the opportunity to become leaders one day. So that's what pushes me, is the fact that certain mentors kept me alive and why I'm standing today. So I need to be that mentor for another kid.
I think it's important to be a leader in my community. Just, I gotta set the example for the people that are coming up behind me. Growing up, I felt like there wasn't too many people that I had to look to. And so I just want to set that example and want to be the one to create change, especially being a young leader and a young African American male. I think during this time it's important that we rise up and we step up. We put ourselves in position. Yeah, I think our mental illness is overlooked. I think to be a young African-American male, it's one of the hardest jobs. It's a constant job every day. We getting killed for what we look like. So I feel like our mental illness, when we're growing up in communities that are full of illness, it's kind of normalized to be an African-American male. We're expected to carry the burden and continue to go. And we don't have the luxury to sit back and to get the care to be able to actually succeed in society. So I feel like our mental illness is taken for granted, it's overlooked. I want to create change. I want my impact to be in the community to be change, revolutionary change. I don't want to jump into a reoccurring cycle of violence. I don't want to jump into a reoccurring cycle, the same story that they feel like it's for every young African-American male. I want to create my own narrative, and I think that narrative is change. I want to see young African-American males growing up and living. For people that look like me, our ages, we set at 18. Most of us don't make it past 18. And so I think change for us is, we being put in positions where we're in society and we're working members of society. We're not getting killed by police, but we are the police, and we're taking care of our communities. And so, yeah, I think that's our change. That's what I want to see. My message to the people listening, this is not going to be the last time you will see my face. I want to create change, like I said, and I won't stop. I do this for Kobe Elan. I do this for Amir. I do this for the people that I've lost. So I want to continue to go, and I will continue to go. And I feel like it takes all of us. I need helping hands, and I want to be the person that's leading my people. And so I definitely, like I said, this is not going to be the last time you see my face. I do this for the people that I love, and I will not stop until I show the world that I love them.
Why is it important to be a leader in my community? For my cousins and my friends to look up to me as a role model to them, for they won't have like other role models to look up to and get in trouble, so I can lead the way. What's motivated me to be active in my community is the younger folks and my godson, for I can show him like this is a good path you should go down, not the other path like leading to gang banging and violence. I want them to know that we are a good role model, and we'll give the clothes off our back to anybody that needs help, and we can teach you about what not to do and what to do the right way.
So my son is Davari Jalon Armstrong. He's 17 years old, junior in high school, all-star football, all-star athlete, player, child of God, a leader. And he was taken away from us too soon on July the 11th in a killing through gun violence at a house party. He was very outgoing, very competitive, very spiritual. Fortunately, he wasn't a young man that was overlooked in the community, but when there are young men or boys of color that are overlooked and not taken as value, is what I like to say, I think that it impacts on what their everyday living situations are. And I think that impacts them being in the streets and not having a place to go, and ends up being the situation that happened with my son. We got to start at home, moms, dads. We have to start within our house and grabbing our kids and investing in them and finding things for them to do and being there. There's a lot of mental health that people don't talk about, and these young men and young ladies of color are going through that. And for speaking from a mom that's brokenhearted, and speaking for the other moms I know I can speak for that are brokenhearted, this is a place that nobody wants to be in. Nobody ever imagined burying their baby before them, or even burying their baby through gun violence. As a community, we need our men to step up and I'm saying it, we need our men to step up and get a hold of these young men so that they know that they're not alone, because a lot of this happens because there's not a lot of men around and there's not a lot of mentors for these men to go to so that they know that they're valued and that they're a part of society. This needs to stop. These young men are being taken away too soon, and mine was taken away too soon, and he had a long life to live and he had aspirations and goals that got stopped, and I'm not gonna let him stop some shape, form, or fashion. I hope I be able to bless another young man in a type of scholarship or something so that they could be inspired by Davari's hard work. Always going to start with it takes a village, and I think it takes a village and accountability. And the message behind this was that it was a good boy taken too soon for no reason, and we got to start with this gun violence and finding another outlet for these young men to be and have, instead of picking up a gun or not feeling like they're worth anything, but being part of a gang or trying to be a part of something that they're not, or anything negative.
It's important to be a leader within the community because there needs to be advocates for the people who aren't willing or aren't necessarily in a position to share their voice and share their opinions on specific topics and stuff like that. And being a leader in the community, you are the voice of everyone else in your surroundings and not just yourself. So it's important to take that position and lead and get those voices out there. As an emerging leader, I just want people to be able to look at me and say that he's doing something bigger than himself. Taking care of the community and taking care of the people who are a part of the community is definitely one of the biggest things that I want to do. Helping bridge the gaps between the community, whatever that looks like, whether it's person to person or adult to child, you know what I mean? Just as long as everyone is in the community to work together and build a better community, then I feel like that would be my impact and that would be my success with becoming an emerging leader. I think the biggest things that people overlook is the creativity and the mind of the young black male. just understanding that they have so much ability and so much capability and so much intelligence within their brain, and that if they had the support system that they need in order to succeed, that they would be a lot more successful young Black men. I think some of the bigger things that's inspired me are the people who I looked up to when I was growing up, people that I still look up to this day, who have just become active leaders in the community, such as my dad and Jonathan McMillan, Troy Grimes, all these people who are just actively in the community. I feel like one of the bigger things is definitely not just saying that you want to see difference, want to see change, but actually strapping up the shoes and going to be the difference and being the change of the community as well.
It's very important to be a leader in your community because, oh man, if you're not leading, then either you're following somebody else that's leading. So in my eyes, I feel like it's important because kids look up to you, even adults look up to you. You might not even know it. You might be changing somebody's life and you don't know it. I want to change the world. My end goal is to build a school. So sort of a school sort of like HBCU, but for high schoolers and middle schoolers, and to have that to where they feel comfortable to being in their own skin, and they can relate to somebody that's in the same skin as them. My motivation is my mom, and I lost my brother. His name is Kobe Island. Lost him about 2 years ago, and that right there changed my look at what I need to do in the community. Because of now, what my goal is to show that you don't have to be in the gang, or you don't have to sell drugs just to get through life. You can be a teacher, a doctor. You can be whatever you want to be. Oh, I love my biggest thing is youth. I know I sound old and all, but I'm only 21. My biggest thing is youth. I feel like if we impact the youth, the first thing is that's going to change the next generation after we help them change themselves. So I feel like it's very important that we touch down with the youth first. Just love yourself. Don't forget that you are a person. It doesn't matter what your skin looks like or how you look. You're who you are. And God built us all. We're all different, but we bleed the same blood at the end of the day.
That's a great question. Well, we often hear the notion that it takes a village to raise a child. Now, in order for that child to be successful and impactful in their community, there needs to be people in the community exhibiting leadership and compassion. Now, in order for the next generation to truly be powerful, I have to be in my community, standing up for what's right, and setting an example for the next generation to come and take over. That's why it's important for me to be a leader in my community. In high school, I struggled. I struggled with social anxiety disorder. I struggled with speaking in front of people. I never saw myself as a leader. I never saw myself as a student or as a scholar. And because of that struggle, because of that disbelief, I just didn't pay attention in school. I never gave it my all in school. And I ended up graduating high school with a 1.6 GPA because I didn't believe that I was smart enough. I didn't believe that I was worthy of graduating high school with a good GPA because of disbelief. And I took some time off school to just look over my life and to think and to say, well, what do I want out of this? Who do I want to be? And what message do I want to send to my people back home and the people in the community? Do I want to be someone who is still in disbelief with a 1.6 GPA that's never going to make it somewhere? And I had to turn my life around. So I said, hey, I need to start over. And I started over at a community college. And at that community college, I found my passion. I found my passion for people, for technology, for my community. At that community college, I found my passion for leadership. I saw myself for who I was meant to be and not who I thought I was. See, I was elected as the first Black State Student Advisory Council chair, representing over 137,000 students, because I finally saw myself for the potential that I had in me. The same potential that I try to see in everybody in the community, the same potential that I speak into the lives of people that I meet, the same potential that I believe that every young Black boy has in my community. And that's why I dedicate myself and my life to my community. Because my mentor once told me that change happens in the 3 E's: empathy, economic empowerment, and education. I did everything in my life to dedicate myself to educating my community, to economically empowering my community, and to showing love and compassion to people who look like me so they can be successful and be the change that they need in their communities as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to be a leader in my community because there were leaders before me who really showed me the way and kind of cleared the path. So I know what to do. I knew right from wrong, and I feel like it's important to give back in that sense and almost show other kids. Like I have brothers at home right now, and I feel like showing them the right steps to take and the right moves to make is really important and will help and benefit them in the long run. So growing up, seeing a lot of things in the neighborhood, seeing a lot of adults indulge in things that they probably shouldn't have, that definitely takes a toll on a lot of people. And a lot of people came home to that with their parents indulging in maybe drugs or other activities, gang-related activities like that. But I was really blessed, I think, at home to be able to have my mother and father at home and kind of set strong standards. My parents are my main motivators, I think. I grew up in Sun Valley, which was a food desert for a lot of the time. I'm pretty sure since we were there, and my parents fought long and hard to be able to open an international food market for a lot of the people there to travel to. It's not too far. And basically, what a food desert means is there's no grocery stores within walking distance. And a lot of our residents that don't have access to a car or full time or aren't able to get those groceries on a weekly basis, like most families are. So I feel like my parents have definitely brought me to want to give back to my community as best I can and kind of follow in their footsteps.
Honestly, the biggest part of being in a community in general is being organized and together. And to do that, you need people that know what they're doing and know how to get to where it needs to be and have a vision. So being a leader and being selected as one is a great opportunity. And to me, it means that I'm doing something right and I'm able to help us progress as a people. What impact do I want to make as an emerging leader is to just better the community in general, help us progress, be happier, be able to be more progressive, optimistic, just be better as one. If you get overlooked, doesn't even matter. Keep your head down, focus, stay in the books, do what you want to do what you need to do. Stay on the straight path. If people are trying to take you off that path, you gotta leave them. You gotta get what you need in life and keep it moving. The biggest thing I would want to say is my older brother, because he was doing great and then fell in line with the wrong people. My mom, I want to do the best for her, and just we're not in the greatest state right now. We've never been in the greatest state, so I want us to be better than everybody else. Like, as a people, we've always been shunned. We've thought as lesser, so I want us to all be able to be looked at as we're doing something. Just be me. You gotta be yourself. If you're not yourself, you're trying to be somebody else, and you're not them, so you're really nobody at that point. You gotta be somebody, and being somebody means being yourself, putting your best foot forward. You gotta have inspirations in your life. My biggest inspiration ever, my mom. Want to do things so I can help her not be stressed, make sure she's comfortable in life.
There's not a lot of them, at least not a lot of young ones. I chose to focus on the health industry and just everything in the health industry. How much, if you don't have healthcare, how much hospitals are, and how much organic food is to eat healthy, and how much it is just a month to go to the gym. So right after that, I knew I always wanted to be a trainer, but I didn't know was gonna try to open up my own nonprofit maybe and just try to really help people. There's just a lot of lies in the fitness industry, just like a lot. And a lot of people fall victim to that and then wonder why it's not working and then they want to give up. And I'm telling you, don't give up. There's always a deeper truth into what that is. Like people are like always kind of looking down on you. You got to prove them wrong.
It's important to be a leader in my community because being a leader allows change and allows people to look up to someone and see like there's hope, because some people need a leader in order to see that. And like with the times that we're in now with this pandemic, people need a leader because people are at home and just the stress. It's like people need someone to look up to that's going to be able to help them get through it. Something that often gets overlooked is our emotions. I think everybody thinks that the young black male is always angry, but usually it's because of misunderstanding. I think what inspires me to do the work I do in the community is watching other people's work in the community. You know, my father, he also got this award a few years ago, and so looking up to him and looking up to the other great community leaders like my teachers and like people that's working in the community to do better for people, it's helped me like look at change and make me want to help other people, because seeing a happy smile on people makes me feel better. And yeah, and since I was a child, pretty much I've been doing that. Like my mom and stuff, we've always went and fed the homeless, and so that's like another thing too. Like watching my mom, she's always cooking and like, okay, well, I'm giving this food away because we ain't wasting it. Like there's always somebody else in need, and so that always runs in the back of my mind too.
It's important to be a leader within my community because you're setting the example for the kids younger than you, you know, the people younger than you. You're giving them someone to look at, and someone and like, you're giving them an example of how to be good and how to be better. The impact I hope to be as an emerging leader is to just, like I said before, like hopefully inspire those kids younger than me to do better, you know, be that leader for somebody else younger than them, keep it going. Something that I want people to know about boys and young men of color is that we're something special, you know, like regardless of stereotypes or all that, we're something special. We do great things. Something that really motivates and inspires me to be active in my community is just like I never had that older kid for me to look up to. Like, yeah, I had the adults, but it's more meaningful and impactful when you see somebody that's more around your age, like doing better things, doing great things.
I think that there's a lack of leadership in our community, especially when it comes to our young people, our young black men, and young black women. So I believe that's important as a young black man in my community to take the next initiative on, you know, filling in the gaps where they're at. That there is a big stigma about the stereotype us young black men fit in here in America, and it's not true at all. And that if we're given a chance, if we have the same opportunities and resources, there's equity in our school system, in our educational system, we'll be at the same places that a lot of our peers are that have those fortunate opportunities. So my whole thing is that we're the same. We have the same passions, same fires, same dreams, same goals, aspirations. We just don't have the same opportunities and same resources. So that's what I want them to know, that we're there and we're gonna make it there regardless. With what we have, we're gonna make it work. Man, I was once a kid that was coming out of the juvenile system after looking at 20 years, and I had no support system, and I was supported by a community that was willing to guide me and push me every day. And those are the same people that I see now advocating for other youth like me, and I see that there's an importance in me being where I'm at, and that there's a gap between our youth through, you know, mass incarceration, and through my, you know, experience and through my role in the community, I could bridge that gap between our young people in the community that are going through the juvenile system, that need the help, that need the resources, that need certain legislation to be pushed for them. So with that said,
that's what keeps me motivated every day. That I wasn't giving up on, and I can't give up on those that are there that need me. Because as Jason McBride, who you guys all might know, he said to me, "As I give to you, you give to others." And I'm here today because a lot of people in my community, and I got to give back to those as well. I think something that's important that needs more attention right now is our school system. I think that right now, there's with COVID-19 and the impact, and knowing already the inequity in our school system, and the unfortunate and disproportionate families that are impacted and affected by the school system already. It's been enhanced now with COVID, and we got to think about the kids that are missing out on the educational opportunities, missing out on the daily meals, because a lot of these kids survive on that one meal a day that they go to school. So with that said, we're not being considered about the kids that really depend on going to school, even for the mental aspect, because at home father abuses the kids, because mother's a junk addy. So that's what we got to focus on right now is the school system, how we're gonna impact our youth that need it, especially our disproportionate families and minority groups. I was still getting involved in the streets when I came back, but I was at a point where I was turning and changing things around, and had an aha moment where say my life was jeopardized, and at that moment Jason McBride was like, "I'm not letting you die, I'm not letting you fall, I'm not letting you slip up down the path that I went down." And at that moment I knew like he has my back like nobody else, and he's not somebody sent from just the PO or as from the attorney's office. He gonna make sure that I'm followed through with everything I'm supposed to do. He's gonna make sure I get to where I'm supposed to go to. And at that moment, I knew that somebody really cared for me and wanted to see me do something better, more so than myself. And at that point, I knew I needed to want something for myself more than I wanted for anybody else. And I just started seeing things differently. I started seeing like, man, maybe I could use my story. I could start using my experiences for something positive. Maybe all that time I was locked up, instead of wasting it, I could find somebody else who might be going down that same path and stop them from wasting that time. Stop them from missing the opportunity to not go to college or go get that job. Stop them from having that felony on their record. And it just changed from that moment on.
Why is it important for me to be a leader in my community? Why is it important for people to protect their homes? Why is it important for people to protect their families? Then why shouldn't I be a leader in my community? It's important for me to be a leader in my community because my community is my home. My community is my safe haven. My community is my family. And I want to make sure my family is okay. The impact that I want to have is I want to work to give young people access to the people and the resources that they need to make their dream work. I want to work to give young people the exposure that they need to be successful in whatever field that they want to be. If a kid wants to talk to Von Miller, I want to work to make sure that kid has opportunity to talk to Von Miller. If there's another young black man in the community that wants to get involved in politics, I want to make sure that they can connect with the mayor. I want to work to make sure young people have access and exposure to the resources and tools that they need to be successful. Lastly, I want to show young people that you can have fun creating change, and that creating change is fun. All you have to do is get your friends together, get your change agents together, and really be about the change that we're creating.
I think that this is just a really cool opportunity in general. Like I really appreciate this opportunity to be noticed as a leader, because I feel like there has been no recognition. I've just been doing it for myself basically, and that's what you should do. You should do it for anyways, just do it for yourself. But I appreciate you guys for being able to have this opportunity given to students of color or kids of color.
Shout out to the east side of Denver. Shout out to the whole city of Denver, my brother's keeper, Philip Douglas, Malcolm program, and just the entire city and everybody who's doing good work. Thank you.
I'm grateful and I'm blessed. Thank you.
There's a lot of people that I appreciate and that I'm so thankful and grateful for my journey and during my journey. They've had my back and they supported me, but I want to give a special shout out, and I'm very appreciative for Jonathan McMillan, Joey Pace, Mayor Hancock, and the rest of the MBK team. My partner Dante as well. You guys have been on my back, on my case. You guys have supported me since the beginning, and I'm here where I'm at because of you guys' support.